One of the biggest ecological catastrophes in the history of the United States was the Deep Horizon oil spill of 2010. The consequences are still to be determined, but we know that a lot of damage was done to the ecology of the Gulf Coast. Within a few hours from the moment of the spill, the delicate balance of the Gulf ecology was affected by dozens of tons of oil and gas, which create an oil film that covers the surface of the sea and start to consume the oxygen in the water and to destroy the habitat of countless species. The damage was beneath that visible film. Although most of the damage was concentrated on the coast of the closest states, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, and Florida, the long-term consequences will affect other regions all the way to Texas and extending south, reaching as far as Mexico. The actual extension of the damage is still being appraised today. The immediate damage was felt primarily among the local marine animals and the fauna of the coast. Any living creature in the area adjacent to the area of the disaster was in danger of dying, affected by the toxicity of the spilled oil or by the fumes that start to come out of the water as a consequence of the effort to burn the oil drifting on the sea. The mouth of the Mississippi River, a habitat of marine and other wildlife, was under threat of being completely wiped out by the magnitude of the disaster. Despite the efforts to contain the drifting mass of crude oil, the proximity to land and the currents made it very difficult for the authorities to isolate the incident that started to affect that treasure trove of wildlife. Another of the major consequences for the economy of the area was the destruction of fish and shrimp population that made a large part of the industry in the area. As a result of the contamination, many markets that consume fish and seafood from the Gulf prohibited the import from the area, compounding the problems for the already troubled local business. Despite the magnitude of the damage, both the government agencies and local scientific institutions were quick to react, and a small army of experts descended on the Gulf Coast area to assess and contain the damage. In the weeks that followed the spill, several recovery plans were made and implemented, even when the well was not plugged yet. Even though the first reaction of the company that owned the well was to hide several of the facts in the crisis, the swift action by government institutions forced them to take responsibility for the disaster, and the two collaborated in good faith in both the solution of the crisis and in the recovery effort during the aftermath. A escrow account with a limit of $20 billion was sent up by BP to attend the needs of the area. Part of the success in the handle of the damage caused to the Gulf Coast was brought about by local residents and conservation activists that keep the pressure on both the government and BP and made sure that the responsible parties were held accountable for their actions. Never before in American history had a big oil company been forced to pay for the consequence of their greed. Maybe the best united result of the Gulf oil spill was the increase in the awareness of the population of the coastal states about the importance of ecological conservation. Despite the damage to the ecosystems of the area, the people of the Gulf Coast emerged united in the objective of protecting the way of life and the natural riches of their home states. Thank you.